In this week's EV news, is NIO about to take the mass market by storm? The UK needs 75,000 EV ready mechanics. An MG driver thinks his EV is a bus. The UK government pumps 91 million into British EV projects. And could the proposed UK manufacturing deal with Rivian be hanging in the balance? Welcome back to another EV news installment. Once again, I'm asking you, if you're new here, click that subscribe button, and for everyone, click the like button. It really helps convince YouTube this video is worth watching and puts it in front of more people. First up, the Chinese car manufacturer NIO is said to be spinning up a mass market brand to rival Toyota and VW. Until now, they've been thought of as an up-and-coming Tesla competitor, but quite firmly targeting the more expensive end of the market. Now, that brand you've probably heard of in the context of battery swaps and battery swap stations. They are heavily invested in that technology, convinced it's the way forward. Of course, time will tell what will come of that. This article from Auto Express says they're entering the mass market. Let's take a look. The Chinese electric car manufacturer NIO will soon launch a new mass market sub-brand, which will arrive at a more affordable alternative to NIO's premium market cars. In a recent statement, the company's CEO William Li said the relationship between NIO and their new mass market brand will be like that of Audi to Volkswagen and Lexus to Toyota. Li also expressed an ambition for his new sub-brand to undercut and outperform Tesla, saying we want to provide a better product and better service at prices lower than Tesla. It's fighting talk, that is. NIO has only just started its advance on the European market with the recent launch of the ES8 SUV and ET7 saloon in Norway. The brand hasn't yet made a move on the UK, but the firm has hinted that it's a possibility if there's enough interest. However, NIO has not revealed or hinted at any plans to bring the upcoming sub-brand over to Europe as of yet. Currently, NIO's vehicles are positioned towards the premium end of the market, with prices for the ET7 saloons starting from the equivalent of around £51,000 in China, and the ES8 from around £54,000. The announcement comes as the firm reveals its earnings for the second quarter of 2021, where the company delivered almost 22,000 vehicles during the period, representing around a 112% increase year on year. NIO is also working on expanding its innovative battery swap network, with plans to more than double its current capacity from 361 stations to more than 700 by the end of this year as it moves into the European market. By 2025, they aim to go global with the battery swap technology with 4,000 stations worldwide. I'm not sold on battery swapping. It's the killer moment for EV range. Other brands are of course pushing for faster and faster charging, 800 volt cars from Kia and Hyundai for instance. A mass market sub-brand, however, targeting the cheaper end of the market, that has the potential to be hugely popular, I think. We need cheaper EVs. And if Chinese brands are going to do that before the legacy car makers do, then so be it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you excited? Is the idea of the potential of NIO creating a sort of cheaper mass market oriented brand, is that a good thing? I certainly think it is. And I think they want to expedite those plans to bring their stuff to Europe for sure. Next up, the Institute of the Motor Industry has said that investment in training mechanics to work on EVs is critical for success. Let's take a look at this article from Fleet News. And as always, there's a link in the description if you want to check it out. The Institute of the Motor Industry has warned that workshops and garages do not currently have the skills and the pipeline of talent needed to service and repair electrified vehicles. It is calling for a £15 million investment in electric vehicle technician training from the government. The funding boost would, according to the IMI, play a critical role in contributing towards training for 75,000 technicians. Steve Nash, the CEO of the IMI, said, with just 6.5% of the automotive workforce currently qualified to work on electric vehicles, there is a gaping chasm in the availability of technicians. And if this chasm not only presents a safety threat for those who may risk working on high voltage vehicle systems without the appropriate training and qualifications, it also means the premium on skills could add to costs for motorists, creating another unnecessary deterrent to the switch to EV. Okay, The government has committed 1.9 billion to tackling consumer uptake and charging issues. We're asking that 15 million is set aside for employers to support their own investment in skills training to get their workforce EV ready. This will be particularly important for the independent sector. It's estimated the electric vehicle population will accelerate to 12.7 million in the next decade, and in order to safely maintain that number of vehicles, the UK would need around 75,000 technicians with the skills to work on EVs. Now, I completely understand what the IMI are saying here. The need for EV qualified mechanics is going to increase in line with adoption, and it could start to hinder progress, but I'm not completely sold on government funding being the answer to the problems here, expecting the government to fork out for private companies to train their staff. Now sure, there should definitely be funding for really small businesses to access training and funding that they might not otherwise be able to afford. And I definitely think any new apprentices, apprentice mechanics should be getting trained at least in the basic safety competencies of working on EVs as standard. But training your staff is a kind of part of being in business, and to expect the government to pay for that, yeah, I think we're barking up the wrong tree here. I'm not sure just sort of funding it is necessarily the answer. To me, that just sounds like money that will just get swallowed up by some of these training providers who will no doubt, whenever there's a sniff of government money around, they'll just jack the prices up. But it is a very interesting point. I think the skills gap is something we do need to keep an eye on. And obviously there are EV qualified mechanics, there are EV capable garages out there, but that number is definitely going to increase. I can't argue with that at all. Now on a lighter note, this MG ZS EV driver seems to have mistaken the car for a bus. Ember, the fully electric bus company that runs intercity services in Scotland, posted this photo on Twitter. Despite the massive letters on the ground stating that the charger is for electric buses only, this driver has plugged in the car quite happily. It's not actually the first time I've seen this. The same thing happened back in January with another blue MG ZS EV, not the same one. It's a little bit confusing actually, because when this happened in January, Ember said at the time the charger was going to be locked down so it could only start with their specific RFID cards. Whether that happened or not is a little bit unclear at this point. So in a stark change from the previous couple of news videos, I'm actually going to talk about something positive the government are doing. And they've announced 91 million of investment in British EV projects. And I know this segment seems to have very quickly become me just going on sweary rants about the government, but maybe they've actually done something good for once. 4 UK firms have been awarded a total of 91 million in funding from the government to ramp up their green motoring projects. Among the companies to receive financial backing is BMW's UK BEV department in Oxford, which is currently developing electric vehicle batteries that will have driving ranges to match a petrol or diesel car on a full tank of fuel. Another company based in Birmingham has been handed almost 10 million to continue their development of ultra-fast charging batteries that can be fully replenished in just 12 minutes. BMW's battery facility in Oxford will receive 26.2 million to help develop cells that will provide driving range to match those of current internal combustion engine cars, while Project Celeritas in Birmingham will get 9.7 million to reduce charge times to less than a quarter of an hour. The other companies taking a share of this 91 million investment is the Brunel project based in Darlington, which will receive 14.6 million to develop a novel zero-emission hydrogen-fueled engine specifically for HGVs. And Recorner in Nuneaton will pocket 41.2 million to continue development of radical light and medium-sized commercial electric vehicles. The latter confirmed in February that it was building a state-of-the-art engineering centre of excellence in Warwickshire at the Motor Industry Research Association's Technology Institute. In this announcement, Minister for Investment Lord Grimstone said, by investing tens of millions in the technology needed to decarbonise our roads, not only are we working hard to end our contribution to climate change, but also ensuring our automotive sector has a competitive future that will secure thousands of highly skilled jobs. Seizing the opportunities that arise from the global green automotive revolution is central to our plans to build back greener, and those winning projects will help make the widespread application and adoption of cutting-edge clean automotive technology a reality. It's fantastic news really, isn't it? Investing in research and development of new batteries, vehicles and propulsion methods, and doing so by funding companies and institutions with a British presence, sounds like a good use of government funds to me. As ever, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sure it'll divide opinion as usual, but at least it's a little bit more positive than usual, isn't it? And finally, you'll remember that a couple of weeks ago I brought you the news that Rivian were potentially looking to open a factory in the UK and were in early stage talks with the UK government. But could all that be up in the air? ITV News reports. A deal between the government and an Amazon-backed US car maker to build a giant electric vehicle factory in the UK is hanging in the balance over the financial incentives Britain can offer. Of course. California-based Rivian is said to be eyeing an area between Bristol and Bridgewater for a UK plant. Something that would be beneficial in securing the deal, which would be worth more than £1 billion to the UK, could be to provide the Bristol region with Freeport status. Earlier this year, Bristol lost out in its bid for a Freeport, a designated zone where the normal tax and tariff rules of the country do not apply, despite Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying in November that it was a strong contender for this status. There are now 8 Freeports in England, including one nearby in Plymouth. In these areas, goods could be imported, manufactured and re-exported without being subject to customs checks, paperwork or import taxes known as tariffs. There are no current plans to designate any more Freeports in England beyond those allocated in the bidding process. David Brown, Chief Executive of Bristol Port and Local Enterprise Partnership Board Member, is now calling on the government to reconsider issuing Freeport status to the Bristol region. He said, "It would be a complete travesty if we were to let this opportunity slip through our fingers as a region, but critically as a nation, given the government's unequivocal commitment to net zero and high-tech manufacturing. Surely the Rivian deal is the very essence of the Freeport model. It would be the most significant car deal since the 1980s and sends the perfect message for the benefits of Brexit and underpins aspirations of net zero and green economy." Mr Brown said the region remained very disappointed that it was not selected to be a Freeport, despite a fully compliant bid. He added, "This £1 billion opportunity requires our Freeport status to be re-examined. There can only be an upside for regional jobs, the regional economy and the nation as a whole." If Rivian does build a factory in the UK, it would be its first outside of the US. In the southwest alone, it could create 10,000 jobs and another 90,000 indirect roles as part of the supply chain. If it moves ahead, it would be the biggest car deal of its kind in the UK since the 80s, and a major boost to the country's automotive industry, which saw production slump to its lowest level since 1984 last year, amid the pandemic. Nothing concrete there, and really just some more speculation and some moaning from someone in Bristol. More news on Rivian and their potential UK manufacturing plans as it becomes available, if it ever does become available. But that's all we've got time for this week. Please like this video if you haven't already, and if you're new here, do hit that subscribe button. As always, I'd love to hear about what you think of these news items in the comments. Please feel free to debate away. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.